We got us a corpse and cartridge occasion.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Miguel. Now, for the people who just got here, check out my Tekken lore explained. You can see all the characters I covered in the past. Maybe I did a video about your favorite character already, or maybe I didn't, and you can comment that and let me know so I cover it. But today we're going to be talking about Miguel. Now, I did some research. I looked at the Tekken wiki. I looked at Reddit. I just looked all around at Miguel's not only story, but like his influence. And I think it's very interesting. Of course, if you guys seen the Tekken 8 roster prediction tier list I did, I put Miguel in DLC. I said that Miguel, I feel like he's a character that will not be on the Tekken 8 base roster. Now that's nothing against the character. That's just my feeling. I could be wrong. Hopefully I am wrong. But here's the thing. If I am wrong about that, that means another character is going to get cut, right? Someone's character is going to get cut. Who would you guys like to see take on the main role in Tekken 8? I don't know if this is a meme with inside the Miguel community, but it's like, not only do I feel like Miguel hasn't had a chance to truly shine, I feel like there's so many other characters that haven't had that chance. Like I was talking about Leo, there's zero story development there. Julia is another character who's been accomplishing nothing every single game. It's like certain characters, they just get shafted. Their story just doesn't progress, and I feel like he's one of them. In Tekken, I don't know if this is fixed or not, but when you're playing Miguel, at the bottom of the screen, you know how it gives you tips on like your character? The game misclassifies Miguel and says her. Something else that I found on Twitter, this is between Sonic Fox and Arson Ash, then we'll get into the actual story portion of the video. Sonic Fox tweets at Arson Ash and says, I think the Tekken 7 community is overlooking Miguel. I think he's really dumb. But then Arson Ash responds and says, Miguel has a winning potential and is not that weak. The problem is it has basic tools which are easy and does not pressurize the opponent too much. Now, of course, he was buffed after this. Let's get into the actual story. A comment here, this was in reaction to what I was saying about Miguel not being on the roster and yada yada yada. This one says, I think Miguel will have some story connection, if nothing more than a surprise extra thorn in Jin's side. They have some unresolved beef from Tekken 6, and the baby story piece we got from Tekken 7 heavily implied he will come back in the last scene of Tekken 8 and try to fight Jin at his peak. Now, when we get to the Tekken 7 story, you guys will see exactly what this comment means, but I just want to add this comment in there because it was a direct response to me saying Miguel wouldn't be in the game, right? Or at least base roster. Starting off with Tekken 6, it says, despising the thoughts of having his life in the hands of other people, Miguel sought to live on his own. Even after being raised by strict parents, his bloodthirsty personality found him starting fights with people around him and caused him to be seen as a rebel. Countless arguments with his parents had forced Miguel to leave his home at the age of 15, but he was soon found sanctuary at a bar he visited often. He trusted no one except his kind-hearted sister whom he cared about more than anyone. She visited him secretly without their parents knowing about it. Sometime later, Miguel's sisters told him that she was going to get married. Miguel, being outraged by this, thought of killing her fiance. But not wanting to break his dear sister's heart, Miguel decides against it. Now, this part here sounds kind of weird. This one, I'm getting a whole lot of like Alabama vibes from this one.
I don't trust you. You put your seed in my daughter's belly. You're fired.
But, Pa, you can't fire me.
You're lucky you're my brother, too, or I'd kill you.
Why did he all of a sudden want to kill the fiance? If one of the Miguel mains out there knows some hidden piece of lore, please enter it in there. Put it in the comment sections, because right now I am getting Alabama vibes from this part here. On the day of the wedding, Miguel watched the ceremony from outside the church, not wanting to be seen by his parents. Under the clear sky, almost as if it was a blessing, a line of planes passed by the wedding. Just a moment later, a blazing inferno covered the scene. Miguel was blown away, and although he was in great pain and almost collapsed, Miguel tried desperately to look for his sister inside the remains of the church. Later on, Miguel found her already dead and with her wedding dress soaked in blood. Sometime after, Miguel discovered that the air raid that killed his sister was ordered by the Mishima Zaibatsu, and with the lust for vengeance, he vowed to get revenge on the Zaibatsu's leader, Jin Kazama. What really catches my attention about this is, okay, you kicked him out the house at the age of 15, but is that because he was just yelling and he was just like punching holes in the walls? What happened there to where not only you kicked him out at 15, he somehow survived long enough to, see his sister get married, but you don't even want the sister talking to him? I feel like there is some missing pieces of information there, but it's okay. I'm not saying they should go back and try to fill them in. Also, I don't think we really need justification as to why Jin Kazama would bomb some random church wedding. In Tekken 6, he was trying to cause as much destruction and as much chaos to resurrect Azel. So maybe he was like looking for targets. He's like, okay, what can I do to force this country into a war with me? Let's fly our airplane. Oh, there's a wedding happening down there. Strike it. Now they have to fight us in the war, because that's eventually what happened. Jin Kazama created a world war, and maybe this is one of the things that he just did to either incite that, or maybe it was like, I don't know. And one thing too that is interesting about the sister at one point in time was going to be turned into the zombie bride character. There was a poll, of course Eliza won it. You had the Tekken 4 soldier also, or the sexy Tekken 4 soldier Zoe also was on the list. And then you had the zombie bride. The zombie bride, to my understanding, was supposed to be Miguel's sister resurrected, but instead of doing that, because she didn't win the poll, instead of doing that, they just gave the bride's dress to Nina, right? Talking about Tekken 7, the story with Miguel. After losing his sister in an airstrike ordered by the Mishima Zaibatsu under the direction of Jin Kazama, Miguel devoted his life to seeking revenge. However, when Jin suddenly vanishes without a trace, Miguel's life purpose to kill him disappears along with him. So Jin was doing all this stuff, and then he disappeared because, fighting Azel. And then Miguel is like, well, where'd he go? What happened? From that point forward, Miguel began to wander like a spectator from the battle-torn town to battle-torn town. One day, as he ambled through rows of dilapidated buildings, he stumbled across a strangely familiar hooded man. There in front of him was none other than his sworn enemy, Jin. Consumed by both euphoria,
now you're fucking one of us, right? What are you, a little fucking straight?
And rage, Miguel becomes frenzied and goes in for the kill. Now, this is referring to the ending. That's all we get, but this is referring to the ending. In Miguel's ending, he beats Jin in a fight, but then he lets him live. He obviously sees that Jin is weak and he's like not 100%. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to finish you off here. I'm going to let you live. I'm going to let you run away. But then once I see you again at your highest of highs, then I'm going to come and then I'm going to, try and take you out for real, because right now you're weak, you're fragile. So me taking you out now isn't really fair. Now that is a honorable thing to do, right? To let your enemy walk away to get stronger and then fight them at their best. But at the same time, I don't, the fact that he's saying he wants to fight him at his best, this tells me that at the very end of Tekken 8's story, because of course we're all expecting Jin Kazama to win, right? Whenever Jin is put up against Heihachi or Kazuya, he's always the one to win. So at the very end of Tekken 8's story, then Miguel will show up as the final boss. And it's like that kind of story where you're showing up at the end, that's something that could be put in at DLC as like story DLC, right? Jin does all this stuff to Kazuya, Lita, Leroy, all these characters, and then the story's over. Jin's like, he's chilling, watching the sunset, and then Miguel walks up, DLC Season 1, do you remember me? Let's fight. And that's why, like, when people talk about his story and like, oh no, he has to be in it because remember he promised to fight him, and it's like he promised to fight him at the very end, you know? And like I said, I could be wrong. It's just how I feel. I just feel like he's going to get pushed off the roster by someone else. Now, you could argue as well, just like Zhao Yu, Lars, Harong, all these other characters whose story is attached to Jin, those characters are being dragged into Tekken 8, and you could argue, why is it not the same for him? His story is heavily tied to Jin's story. That also should make him more likely to show up. But I don't know, I just feel differently about it. That's it. That's everything about his story. It's really short. The church get bombed, and then he's looking for Jin, and then he eventually finds Jin. It's really like kind of a blank canvas too. They can do whatever they want with the character. He can join Kazuya, right? Miguel could join Kazuya. Miguel can join Lita. Miguel can forgive Jin because he sees Kazuya as a bigger threat and he could team up with him, kind of like Harong is doing. Harong is putting all of his beef aside and is trying to help Jin, save Jin. They could push his story in so many different directions. It's really hard to even predict or to theorize because it's kind of a blank slate for this character, and I will do so. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.